Is Odette future-proof? Is Arlecchino still relevant in this meta? And will INEFFA and FLINS be strong enough during the new Snezhnaya chapter? In today's video, we'll have a look at the 7.0 banners so we can understand who is the most convenient character to pull for our accounts. We'll talk about each character's kit, build, teams, and value to date. So without further ado, let's start with the first character, Odette. Odette is a 5-star cryo character, sword wielder, sub DPS and buffer for stellar glimmer reactions. With the skill that summons her dance double dealing cryo damage, the latter deals cryo damage to opponents, but if you press the skill again, the dance duet will deal cryo damage periodically, followed by an instance of stellar conduct or stellar swirl depending on your team comps. With the burst, Odette deals AoE cryo damage, buffing herself and replaces her skill with her special one. With the first passive talent, after using the skill or burst, Odette gains 60% increased damage for stellar glimmer reactions. If she goes off field, that buff is slowly given to party members, causing Odette to lose it. The second passive increases Odette's stellar damage based on their attack, and with the last one, when Odette is in the party, Super Conduct and Cryo Swirl are converted to their stellar version, and the base damage of cell reactions is increased based on Odette's attack. As you can see, Odette has a really strong kit. She buffs herself and other party members, really enhancing the DPS of your team. But as if this wasn't enough, she's also future-proof, since she can work with both stellar glimmer reactions, so stellar conduct and stellar swirl, which makes her a really good investment if you're planning to play stellar glimmer reaction themes. So now that we know her kit, let's have a look at her build options to understand how much do we have to invest to have the best performances, literally in our case. So for artifacts, for 2-piece you can give her attack, but it's actually not the recommended, since the best choice you can do is to give her a 4-piece, and the best 4-piece you can give her is the new set we'll have in Snezhnaya, Art of the Furnace, which grants attack and increases all party members' stellar reactions damage. This will be her signature set. For weapons instead, for 5 stars she can use Wild Lake Frost Feather, Azure Light and Primordial Jade Cutter, and for 4 stars she can have Ember Bell, Finale of the Deep and Arbiter of Dawn. For teams, of course, she can play in Stellar Conduct teams, so with Sandrone, Risley and Sino, and for Stellar Swirl, right now we only have Mizuki, but of course you will be able to play her in a lot of other different teams. So to conclude that section, do I recommend you to pull for her? Of course I do. She's basically a Cryo Columbina, but I have to warn you that if you are not planning to play Stellar Glimmer reactions during this Snezhnaya chapter, she's not going to be playable in other niches or other teams. So of course Odette is recommended, but if you don't care about the stellar meta, you don't care about Odette as well. So now let's talk about the second character that is going to have a rerun in the first phase of 7.0, Arlecchino. Arlecchino is a 5-star Pyro character, Golem wielder, and main DPS in Pyro teams. With the skill Arlecchino marks opponents, this mark can be removed by using her charge attack or burst. If you use the charge attack, Arlecchino has her normal attack infused with Pyro, and instead, with the burst she heals herself, dealing AoE Pyro damage. With the first passive talent, the mark is upgraded after 5 seconds, and it can grant even more Bond of Life. Bond of Life is granted to Arlecchino even if an enemy with the mark dies. The second passive talent increases Arlecchino resistance based on her attack, and with the last one, Arlecchino pyro damage bonus is increased and she can't be healed by other party members while in combat. So her kit is still one of the best to this day and her damage is still on point, but let's see what kind of build she needs to unlock her full potential. For artifacts, for 2-piece she can have attack, pyro damage bonus or normal attack damage bonus, but of course a 4-piece is more recommended and you can use Gladiator's Finale or Fragment of Harmonic Quincy. For weapons, for 5 stars she can have Crimson Moon Semblance, Primordial Jade and Staff of Oma, and for 4 stars she can have Sacrifice's Staff, Deathmatch and White Tussle. One of the properties that makes Arlecchino really good even today is that she is really versatile, since you can use her in really different teams, starting from an Overload team where you can use her with Yansan, Chevrolet and Fisho. She can also be played in a Mel team with Citlali, Shilonen and Bennett, but also in a Vade team with, for example, Yenan, Shilonen and Furina. Beside all this, to this date, I don't really recommend Arlecchino, since she's still strong, but now she starts to feel the years she has, which leads you to kinda have to invest on her vertically if you want her to really be a reliable DPS that can complete the Stygian, for example. So she's still strong, but with vertical investment it's better. So before the second phase, let's talk a little about the weapon banner. In the weapon banner we are going to have White Lake Frost Feather and Crimson Moon Semblance. The first grants attack, additional crit damage for Stellar Glimmer reaction, and energy restore. This is a pretty good weapon for Odette, but unfortunately it can't be really used by other characters. Maybe with other characters being released during Zesnaya, this weapon will become more horizontal. Instead, Arlecchino's signature grants a lot of crit rate and attack, and the effect grants additional damage bonus. This weapon is pretty vertical as well, and it can be really used by other characters, or better, potentially all polearm DPSs can use it, but they can take advantage from the entirety of the effect, so they can use it in the greatest and most proper way. This leads this banner unfortunately to be really risky if you don't have Odette or Arlecchino, because if you lose the 50-50, no one can use the weapon you have obtained. So basically that 50-50 will be a lost 50-50 in the worst way. Now let's talk about the second phase banner, and the first character we're going to talk about is FLINS. FLINS is a 5-star Electro character, polearm wielder and main DPS in Lunar Charge teams. With this skill, FLINS infuses his normal attack with Electro, increases his resistance to interruption, and switches his standard skill to a special one. That allows him to convert his burst as well, with a less expensive one with which he can deal instances of Lunar Charge damage. With the normal burst, he can also deal Lunar Charge damage, but it's not recommended. With the first passive talent, FLINS deals more damage if you have another not great character in the party. With the second passive talent, FLINS Elemental Mastery is increased based on his attack, and with the third passive talent, Electro Charge is converted into Lunar Charge if FLINS is present in the party, and its damage is increased based on FLINS attack. FLINS has a great kit and its damage is still good. In this case, I will wait a little to see what the new meta will bring if you just want an Electro DPS, but if you want FLINS no matter what, let's have a look at his build options. So for Artifact, of course, don't give him a 2-piece at all costs, and instead give him a 4-piece Knight of the Skies Unveiling, which grants him crit rate and is perfect for FLINS. For weapons, for 5 stars you can use Bloodsock Ruin, Primordial Jade and Staff of Oma, and for 4 stars you can use Prospector Shovel, Sacrifice's Staff and Ballad of the Fjords. Of course, the teams where you can play FLINS are only one, so Lunar Charge teams where you can play INEFFA, Cookie, Columbina, Aino, Sacros, Yaoda, and for a twist also Nicole, because she grants attack to all party members and is useful for FLINS and INEFFA if you have her as well. So do I recommend FLINS? Honestly, it depends on your account. If you already started building lunar teams and you need FLINS to complete it, okay, you can pull for him, it's a good investment. But if you have to start from the beginning, basically, I don't really recommend you to build lunar teams since they are really limited to 5-star characters. Instead, I would focus more on Stellar, that is a little more free, since we also have the Traveler who can activate Stellar's Will and Stellar Conduct. So as I said before, if you just want an Electro DPS, wait for the Stellar meta, since for sure they are going to release a Stellar Conduct Electro DPS. But in general, given also what they did in the Stygian in the last year, a lunar team can also be a good choice. If you really want to complete all the contents, a lunar team it's for sure needed. So you decide based on your account as always. So now that we talked about FLINS, it's time to talk about INEFFA. INEFFA is a 5-star Electro character, polearm wielder, and sub DPS in Lunar Charge teams. With the skill, INEFFA spawns Birgira and activates her shield. Birgira will attack opponents dealing Electro and Lunar Charge damage. With the burst, INEFFA deals an instance of Electro damage. With the first passive talent, INEFFA unlocks the instance of Lunar Charge damage Birgira can deal that I mentioned in the skill. With the second passive talent, INEFFA grants CM to party members after using her burst, and with the third passive talent, Electro Charge is converted into Lunar Charge if INEFFA is in a party, and its damage is increased based on INEFFA's attack. INEFFA's kit is really simple and yet one of the strongest we had in Don't Cry. Her damage is insane and it can really take your team DPS to the next level. So let's have a look at her build option, because all she can grant unfortunately comes with a price, and building INEFFA is a little hard. For artifacts, don't give her a 2-piece and focus on giving her a 4-piece. Fortunately, she has 2 choices. You can give her Silky Moon Serenade or Aubade of Morningstar and Moon. And for weapons, for 5 stars, she can have Fracture Halo, Staff of Oma, and Staff of the Scarlet Sands. And for 4 stars, she can have Prospector Shovel, Sacrifice's Staff, and Ballad of the Fjords. Now for teams, She has a wider variety of teams than FLINS because she can be played as a sub DPS in Lunar Charge teams, but also in other where she deals a lot of damage thanks to Columbina. This is the wheelchair combo we had in Not Cry, which allows you to use any DPS you want since Columbina INEFFA will deal a lot of damage. Just a little recommendation with this wheelchair: this core works better if you don't use it with DPSs that are Geo or Dendro, because they will trigger an additional lunar reaction and this would interfere with INEFFA and Columbina, but it's still strong even with these elements, so don't worry. So do I recommend INEFFA now? As for FLINS, I wouldn't start building a Lunar Charge team now, but she's for sure strong and she's also instantly versatile, so actually she could be a great choice even today. Also because she could play in Stellar Conduct teams as well, not because she would be insanely strong as in Lunar Charge, of course, it's not her niche, but the Electro application, the shield and DM she can grant with the burst will still be useful even in a Stellar Conduct team. So let's talk about the weapon banner. The first weapon is Blocksword Ruin. This weapon grants a lot of attack and crit rate, and also with the Fairy grants Lunar Charge damage bonus, energy charge and crit damage, so it's an insane weapon for FLINS. And the price to pay for the fact that this weapon is really perfect for FLINS is the fact that it can be used by other characters, even in INEFFA, because the effect of the Lunar Charge damage bonus is too short for her. The other part is more useful, but she can use it in the best way. And instead, with the second weapon, which is INEFFA's signature weapon, Fracture Halo, this weapon grants a lot of attack and crit damage. The effect increases attack and increases Lunar Charge damage to all party members, which is insane, and it's an improvement in damage even for FLINS. We understood that the best weapon in this banner is INEFFA's, but as FLINS' signature weapon, this weapon can be used only by INEFFA, it can be really used by FLINS, and of course other characters don't use it at all. So even this banner is pretty variable in terms of weapons. But contrary to the other banner, this one is way more convenient, because if you have FLINS and INEFFA, having their signature weapon is really convenient, since INEFFA's signature still buffs FLINS, and generally speaking, having a DPS with their best support in the same phase is always a great opportunity to invest vertically in your team, which is what I'm going to do. So wish me luck, and I wish you the best luck for 5 stars and 4 stars. The next patch is going to be pretty insane in terms of banners and in general. So this is the end of the video. I hope it came useful to you. Let me know who you're going to pull if you're saving at this point. I remind you to subscribe to the channel, to activate the notification bell, to join my Discord server, and I'll see you in Snezhnaya. Bye!